When I first got this computer that let me run emulators and screen capture at the same time, I went and had a look for arcade games that never had any kind of console port, just to see what had become available to me. That's when I discovered Knuckle Bash. It looked goofy enough that I decided to give it a try. Apparently there's this gang called the Mad Bull Group going around causing all sorts of trouble. They're made up of a wrestling organisation that has steadily become more and more corrupt. However, wrestlers are role models for children, and so 3 former Mad Bull wrestlers who are disgusted at the tainted reputation wrestling will get from this all quit and decide to take on the rest of the company themselves. Upon starting the game I have 2 options, or to destroy the Bull Group and fierce battle of the 4 Mad Bulls. This decides which half of the game's levels I'll play first, with the other half coming after before the final levels. I'll be covering the levels in the off to destroy the Bull Group order, and of my 3 starting characters I'll be showing my playthrough as the masked wrestler El Plancha for the first level. I start the first level explaining my backstory at the same speed I'm riding this bike. We're heading off to a Chicago hotel to arrange a meeting with a ninja to get him to help us out. But the Mad Bulls want to hire him too, so I have to get to him first. I pull up outside the hotel at the same time as the Mad Bull leader, a gigantic dude with a pig's face stitched on over his own, who quickly leaves. The game is a side-scrolling beat-em-up, although with this game there's usually very little side-scrolling involved. Most screens are large enemy waves with a little space to move horizontally. You have your punch and jump buttons with throws up close and a health using special attack when both are pressed. El Plancha is the slower but strong one. His special attack is really cool, grabbing an enemy to swing them around hard enough that they burst into flames. We also have directional air attacks, which for El Plancha means drop kicks and elbow drops. He's quite fun early on, but his slow speed becomes a nuisance against harder opponents later. Since we're against a wrestling company, most of the enemies are wrestling themed too. To start with, we have what look like promoters and the trainers, but then once I take those out, the hotel security think this looks like a right laugh and join in too. I shove them both into a corner and take them out too. I do a pose and dropkick my way into the hotel lobby. The porters decide to have a go and all turn out to be capable of flips and flying kicks, but they can only do so much before more security get involved. Take those guys out and as payback for impeding my progress, I dropkick through their pissing child fountain. That dropkick flew me all the way to another room where I take on my first boss, the hotel entertainment. He's also a Mad Bull wrestler and has a couple grapples of his own, but of course he's no match for a guy who can set people on fire just by swinging them. Once he goes down and I approach this window at the edge of the room, a guy drops a huge dynamite right behind me. I get blown out onto a balcony to deal with 2 bosses at once. I have a kickboxer who can do flying punches and knees, and just some dude in dungarees who slides around on his arse. I don't think he has anything to do with it, he's just enjoying the carnage. He's good at grabbing me by the face though. I keep throwing them into each other until the kickboxer goes down. He then has to deal with me dropkicking the big guy on top of him. And that's stage 1 complete. I jump off the balcony and we get a little minigame. I have to mash the button within the time limit. If I mash enough when time runs out, I knock down the other guy and get some points. For stage 2 we'll be showing my playthrough as Michael Sobut, the Elvis impersonator wrestler. Stage 2 starts with a boss fight against this balding dude. Michael is the all-rounder and my favourite character in the game. His special has him create an electric guitar out of lightning, the most famous of wrestling moves. My favourite part of playing as Michael is his ability to do multiple flying kicks in the air, constantly changing direction. It feels very good to hit an enemy with a few of them in a row. The boss will jump in the back and then call in several identical casual dressed men with their hands in their pockets. Am I sure they're fighters too, or just one extended family out for a walk? Because they don't give a chance to throw out a single attack before I mangle them. And when the boss does jump down, he doesn't do much himself. Hit him a couple more times and next he calls out more henchmen, passing divers. This time I get a single hit from one of them. The boss drops down once again and he goes for a flying lariat, only for me to flying kick him out of it and finish him off. The ship pulls up and I get on board, leading to stage 3. Here I'm the last of the starting characters, Jack Brow. He's the weaker but fastest of the 3 and also the least interesting. He could be in any beat 'em up of the time out there, and in all of them he'd still probably be the least interesting. He's fun to play as, it's just the character himself is overshadowed by everyone else. I get actual wrestlers as regular enemies again and take them all down. I climb on this crate to get further up the ship, the box soon having a third hand break out. I drop down outside the ship and out through the wall breaks Blanca. This guy is a bit of a pain, having all sorts of high damage flippy attacks. Especially that kick he likes to do all the time whenever you get within punching distance of him. A decent amount of health too. It takes quite a few 3 or 4 hit deaths before I bring this guy down. So now I've run out of starting characters. but there are an unlockable one each at the end of each set of stages you start the game choosing. So for stage 4 I'm choosing Captain, the character you unlock after clearing the Fierce Battle route. This does mean these secret characters each have 4 levels they'll never be able to play. Stage 4 of this route is out in the streets at night. Once again it looks like I have more trainers to take care of. Being an American football player, Captain also has quite a few grappling attacks, including a tackling takedown. His special is an earth-shattering touchdown. He's the character I beat the rest of the game with fastest, and he's definitely more interesting than Jack. I always like it when they try to adapt regular sports into fighting game or beat-em-up movesets. After taking all these guys out, I move on into a back alley with knife wielders to deal with. It shows how fun Captain can be when I'm just tackling people down into the corners and trapping them there. These two and the trainer are the only enemies on this screen, and I take the two out close together. I punch through the door and finally meet up with Mr. Hayate. You are miles away from the hotel room, mate. He can be tough, but I have no reason to talk about his moves as a boss, as soon as I defeat him, he agrees to join my group. And I get the option to switch to him as that route is complete. The Fierce Battle stages are next. I'm travelling to Battle Kingdom, the HQ of the Mad Bulls. It's rumoured that one of their members, known by now in this video to be Captain, wants to quit. So we're going over to convince him. The first stage of this route has me facing off against 2 burly masked wrestlers. Mr. Hayate is both fast and strong with a weird floaty flying kick and an Izuna drop. I destroy these two so quickly and finish the stage that I don't even get the chance to do most of his moves. So I'll stick with him going into stage 6. It's another boss fight taking place in an actual ring in front of an actual audience. The actual guy isn't very memorable though, so I don't know why he gets an entire stage to himself. Mr. Hayate's special attack has him spin so fast he becomes a tornado. He's another of the really fun ones, up there with Michael and Captain, better than El Plancha and Jack. The boss's main strong attack is bouncing off the ropes and giving me a flying lariat, but this is my 4th playthrough here, so I know what to expect and wipe him out. I jump out of the ring and off into this route's 3rd stage. Back to Michael as we catch up with Captain in the stadium and try to convince him to join us. Like Mr. Hayate, Captain uses his playable moveset in his boss fight. But unlike Mr. Hayate, which was a one-on-one fight, Captain here is backed up by 2 pallet swaps in grey. They don't have as much health as Captain, so I take them down quickly. So just in case people are confused, I played the Hotel then Battle Kingdom routes for everyone except Captain, where I had to do the Battle Kingdom first to give him more than just 2 boss fights for his playthrough. Once Captain is knocked out, the ground shakes and the stadium floor opens up to reveal a trapdoor I fall through. Back to Jack for the final stage of this route, a boss fight against a big dude with a scimitar. I hated this boss fight in every playthrough by the way. If you can get in close, you can get quite a few shots in, but he has a lot of counters ready to knock you away, plus his own grab. And then there's that scimitar tornado attack he has that homes in on you. And when he gets low on health, it feels like he uses nothing but that move. Could never get through him without using a few continues. He was one I was always happy to see the back of when I won. On completion of this route, Captain joins my team. We have just the final stage now. Back to Captain for stage 9. Now we're somehow in this forest with a load of Japanese buildings and also the forest is on fire and I'm being attacked by a Kabuki Oni who fights with a fan. He's got a spinning counter if you trap him against the wall too long and a downward flying kick. I definitely say he's easier than the previous boss. He doesn't even take a life from Captain before all those tackles add up and he's finished with a deck to the face. It turns out he isn't an Oni at all. The mask breaks open and it's our manager. He was just testing us to see if we had what it takes to finish off the Bulls. I jump off the arena and move on to El Plancha for the last boss. I enter a secret lab and out comes Pigface Man. He's got his rapid punches, he can spin dash when he lays down on his side, and he has a body slam. He also has his own take on Captain's special move. He's just as strong and takes as many lives as a scimitar boss, but that boss was just some guy. Whereas this dude is huge and messed up looking, which makes him far more fun to throw around. Not much else to say, so let's get it finished. The other 4 characters pile into the room and they learn that it is the end of the Mad Bull group. But your character says that there is one last thing to do, take control of their destiny. And so everyone stands in a perfect line watching the sunset so that you can see that they all have the exact same torso. With the entire world saved from corrupt wrestlers, the heroes become legendary and children could respect wrestlers once again. What a knuckle bash it was. It's one of my favourite cheesy title drops now. Knuckle Bash is decent. It has an over-the-top style that makes it stand out, but gameplay-wise, it's nothing special. It's nowhere near the level of quality as a Final Fight or Streets of Rage, but it is leagues above the likes of Bad Dudes or Sengoku 1. I don't regret my time with it, but I don't see myself itching to revisit it. Despite that, I do recommend people play it at least once. It's only 20 minutes of your time, and since it's never seen a re-release, the only way to play it now is free. I see this as the kind of game you show a friend once just to let them enjoy the presentation before you move on to something else.